The silence of deep space surrounded the UTDS flagship Justice. It was a quiet day, or at least it seemed like one. The bridge crew moved with slow, easy movements. They drank coffee and checked screens. They did not know that their lives were about to change forever. General Thomas Cole stood near the main window. He looked out at the stars. He was a tall man with gray hair and a face that showed many years of hard work. He held a cigar in his hand, but he did not light it. Smoking was not allowed on the bridge, but he liked to hold it anyway. It helped him think. Captain Kevin Park sat in the command chair. He was younger than the general, but he was a good officer. He looked at the radar screen. There was nothing there. Just the empty darkness of space near the edge of the solar system. "It is very quiet today, General," Kevin said. He adjusted his uniform. He felt a little bored. Long patrols in deep space were often boring. They saw nothing for weeks at a time. General Cole turned around. He smiled a little. "Quiet is good, Captain," he said. "Quiet means we are alive. Quiet means no one is shooting at us." He walked over to Kevin's chair. "Enjoy the quiet while you can. In our job, peace never lasts long." Suddenly, a loud alarm sounded. It was a harsh, red noise that filled the room. The lights on the bridge changed from soft blue to bright red. Everyone stopped what they were doing. They looked at their screens with wide eyes. Ensign David Kim sat at the communication desk. He was typing fast on his keyboard. "General, I have a massive energy signature," David said. His voice was shaking a little. It is huge. It is coming out of warp drive right in front of us." "Put it on the main screen," General Cole ordered. His voice was calm. He did not panic. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered. Then the image appeared. It was not just one ship. It was thousands of them. The ships were dark and purple. They were sharp and scary looking. They blocked the view of the stars. There were so many of them that it looked like a wall of metal. This was the Celestial Empire. They were the strongest force in the galaxy. They had conquered many worlds. Now they were here. The crew of the Justice gasped. They had never seen so many ships before. Kevin Park stood up. "General, their numbers are off the charts," he said. "We cannot fight that many. We are just one fleet." General Cole looked at the screen. He did not look afraid. In fact, his eyes grew narrow. He looked angry. "So," he said softly, "they finally found us." Suddenly, a voice came over the speakers. It was loud and arrogant. It spoke in a language that no human understood, but the ship's computer translated it instantly. "Attention? Primitive creatures of the mud world, the voice boomed. This is the Celestial Empire. We are the rulers of this galaxy. You have been found. You have 1 standard hour to surrender. If you do not surrender, we will destroy your cities and enslave your people. Do not try to fight. Resistance is useless. Your arms beneath our feet. Prepare to bow down." The message ended. The bridge was silent for a moment. On other alien worlds, this message caused panic. The people would cry and beg for mercy. They would give up immediately. But this was Earth. These were humans. Ensign David Kim looked at the general. "Sir, they demand our surrender. What should I tell them?" General Cole finally lit his cigar. He took a long puff and blew out a cloud of smoke. He walked to the communication console. He looked at the terrified face of Ensign Kim. "David, do we have the file ready? The one we practiced?" "Yes, sir," David said. "But are you sure? They said they will destroy us." Captain Kevin Park stepped forward. "Sir, maybe we should talk to them. We can explain that we are peaceful. Maybe they will listen." General Cole laughed. It was a short, hard laugh. "Kevin, look at them. They didn't come to talk. They came to own us. They think we are weak. They think we are afraid." Cole leaned over the console. "Open a channel. Use the main frequency. Use the strongest signal we have." David typed the commands. "Channel open, sir." General Cole spoke clearly. His voice went out to the massive alien fleet. Asterisk, this is General Thomas Cole of the United Terran Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. You have threatened my home. My message is simple. Withdraw now or be destroyed. You have 10 seconds to turn your ships around. Asterisk, the bridge crew held their breath. Kevin Park looked pale. So you just gave them a threat? They have 1,000 ships. They started it, Cole said. On the bridge of the alien flagship, High Overlord Zalatath stood tall. He was a reptilian creature with golden scales. He had 4 arms and red eyes. He had expected the humans to cry. He expected them to ask for more time. He did not expect this. He looked at his advisor. Did the translation unit fail? He asked. Did they really threaten us? The advisor checked the screen. No, Great One, the translation is correct. They are refusing to surrender. They are being rude, Zalatath hissed. The sound was like steam escaping a pipe. Rude? They are insects. How dare they? He could not understand it. Every other species fell to their knees. Why were these humans so different? Were they stupid? Or were they dangerous? Send a scout ship, Zalatath ordered. Teach them a lesson. Do not destroy their ship yet. Just hit them with warning shots. Make them feel pain. Then they will beg. Back on the Justice, General Cole watched the main screen. One of the large purple ships detached itself from the main group. It moved forward. It was still huge compared to the human ship. He is moving to attack, Captain Kevin Park said. He grabbed the armrests of his chair. General, we should raise our shields. We should prepare to evade. Relax, Kevin, Cole said. He sat back in his chair. Let's see what they do first. Don't shoot until I say so. The alien scout ship fired. 2 bright blue beams of energy shot out from its cannons. They were meant to fly close to the Justice and scare the humans. The beams passed by the ship, close enough to rock the vessel violently. The crew grabbed their stations to keep from falling. Warning shots, sir. Lieutenant Jason Lee called out from the pilot station. He had been listening on the comms. They missed on purpose. General Cole stood up. He straightened his jacket. Okay, that's enough. He looked at the weapons officer. Lock onto that ship. Load the heavy railguns. Not the lasers. Use the slugs. The railguns, sir? The weapons officer asked. But they are kinetic weapons. They are old technology. They work just fine, Cole said. Fire! On the outside of the Justice, large guns rotated. They aimed directly at the alien scout ship. With a loud thud that shook the deck, the guns fired. They did not shoot lasers. They shot solid metal shells at incredible speeds. The shells traveled through the vacuum, silent and invisible to the naked eye until they hit. The alien ship had shields. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons like lasers and plasma. But the metal slugs were heavy and fast. They slammed into the shields. The shields flickered and died. The slugs kept going, smashing into the hull of the alien ship. The ship exploded. It was not a small explosion. It broke into 2 large pieces and scattered debris across the stars. There was no survivor. The bridge of the Justice was quiet again. The crew stared at the screen. They had destroyed one of the Empire's ships just like that. Ensign David Kim looked up. General, I am picking up a lot of traffic from their fleet. They are confused. They are panicking. General Cole took another puff of his cigar. He looked at the thousands of enemy ships on the screen. Good, he said. Confusion is the first step to defeat. He looked at Captain Kevin Park. Prepare the fleet. We have a fight on our hands. Kevin Park smiled. He wasn't bored anymore. He was terrified, but he was also excited. The adrenaline was pumping through his veins. This was what they trained for. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought humans would be easy prey. They thought humans would roll over and die. They were wrong. Humanity was awake now, and humanity was angry. The Celestial Empire had come to conquer Earth, but they had just woken up a sleeping giant. The war had just begun. and the stars would never be the same. The silence on the bridge of the alien flagship was broken by the sound of a siren. It was a low, mournful sound that echoed through the massive halls. High Overlord Zalatath stared at the main view screen. His four hands gripped the edges of his command chair until his knuckles turned white. The debris field was still floating in space, slowly expanding. That debris was all that remained of one of his best scout vessels. It was gone. Destroyed in a single hit, Zalatath could not understand it. His mind raced. The ship had shields. It had thick armor plating. It was a masterpiece of celestial engineering. How could the apes of this backward planet destroy it so easily? His advisor, a tall, thin creature named Vex, stood shaking nearby. Vex looked at his data tablet with fear in his many eyes. "Great one," Vex stammered. "The analysis is complete. The weapon used by the human ship was primitive. It was a solid metal projectile. They call it a railgun. They used no energy weapons at all. Just brute force." "Rocks," Zalatath hissed. "They threw rocks at us and won?" "They threw them very fast, Great One," Vex corrected softly. Zalatath stood up. His tail lashed behind him in anger. He felt humiliated. The Celestial Empire had conquered thousands of worlds. They had faced species with laser swords and psychic powers. They had never lost a ship to a civilization that had not even learned to travel faster than light properly. He looked at the image of the human ship, the Justice. It looked so small. It looked ugly compared to his sleek vessels. But now it looked dangerous. "They want to fight?" Zalatath roared. "Then we will fight. But we will not destroy them yet. I want that world intact. I want the resources. I want the slaves." He pointed a clawed finger at the screen. "Order the fleet to advance. Target their weapons and engines only. Use the plasma torpedoes. Disable them, and then we will board their ships and teach them who is master." Back on the bridge of the Justice, the mood had changed. The fear from a few minutes ago was gone. It was replaced by a cold, hard focus. The crew moved with purpose. They knew what they had to do. General Thomas Cole stood in the middle of the room, watching the tactical map. The red dots representing the alien fleet were moving closer. "They are moving, sir," Captain Kevin Park said. His voice was steady. He looked at the data streams coming in. "They are spreading out. It looks like an attack formation, but they are powering up plasma weapons. They aren't trying to vaporize us." General Cole nodded. He chewed on his cigar. "They want to capture us. They think we are valuable property. They think they can take our ships and our planet without breaking a sweat." He turned to the tactical officer. "Sound battle stations. Tell the fleet to execute Pattern Delta." Pattern Delta, aye," the officer replied. Pattern Delta was a tactic that Earth had developed for this exact scenario. It relied on the fact that human ships were smaller, faster, and more maneuverable than the massive alien dreadnoughts. It was a strategy of chaos. It was about being unpredictable. In the hangar bay of the Justice, Lieutenant Jason Lee climbed into his fighter jet. It was a sleek, dark gray machine known as a Raptor. He put his helmet on and the systems hummed to life. "This is Raptor Leader to all units," he said over the comms. "You heard the General? Pattern Delta. Don't fly straight. Don't make it easy for them. Let's go show these aliens how humans fight." "Raptor 2 ready," said a pilot named Sarah. "Raptor 3 ready," said another pilot named Mike. One by one, the fighters checked in. There were hundreds of them launching from the human carriers. They swarmed out like angry bees from a hive. Outside, the alien fleet launched their attack. Hundreds of glowing green plasma torpedoes streaked through the darkness of space. They moved in beautiful, straight lines. The aliens fired with precision, targeting the engines of the human ships. "Brace for impact," Captain Kevin Park shouted on the bridge of the Justice. The torpedoes hit. The ship shook violently. Consoles sparked. Alarms blared. But the Justice held together. The alien weapons were powerful, but the human armor was thick and layered with reactive plating. Report, General Cole yelled, grabbing a railing to keep his balance. Shields at 60%, the tactical officer shouted back. Hull damage on decks 4 and 5, but we are still in the fight. Evasive maneuvers, Cole ordered. Keep us moving. Don't let them get a lock on us. The Justice banked hard to the left, its engines flaring brightly. It moved erratically, darting and weaving through the incoming fire. It was not graceful like the alien ships, but it was effective. Now it was the humans' turn to fight back. Railguns, fire at will, Cole commanded along the hull of the Justice, and along every other ship in the Terran fleet. The massive railgun turrets rotated. They targeted the alien cruisers. With deafening thuds that vibrated through the metal decks, the guns fired. Thousands of tungsten slugs were launched into the void. The battle was joined. In the silence of space, invisible metal slugs slammed into the energy shields of the alien ships. The shields flared brightly and then shattered. The slugs continued on, punching through the alien hulls. Explosions rippled across the alien formation. Lieutenant Jason Lee led his squadron of fighters into the chaos. He saw an alien frigate ahead of him. It was firing its lasers at the human capital ships. Raptor leader, engaging target, he said to himself. He pushed his throttle forward. His fighter accelerated hard. The G-force pushed him back into his seat. The alien ship tried to track him with its point defense guns, but Jason was flying wildly. He rolled, dived, and climbed. He was like a fly buzzing around a giant. He pressed the firing button. His own gun spit out streams of bullets. They tore into the alien ship's sensors, blinding it. Good hit, Jason, Sarah called out. I'm on your 6. Together, the human pilots swarmed the alien vessels. The aliens were used to fighting at long distances. They were used to slow, predictable battles. This was different. The humans were fast. They were aggressive. They risked collision to get a better shot. They flew so close to the alien ships that the aliens couldn't lower their shields to fire their smaller guns. Without hitting themselves on the bridge of the alien flagship, High Overlord Zalatath watched in horror. The tactical map showed red icons disappearing. His ships were dying. Sir, Vex screamed. Our shields are useless. Their physical projectiles bypass our energy dampeners. We are taking heavy damage to our hulls. The 4th and 5th squadrons have lost power. Concentrate fire, Zalatath ordered, panic creeping into his voice for the first time. Target their carriers. Destroy the small ships first. But it was too late. The human tactics were working. The alien fleet was enormous, but it was slow to react. They were a hammer trying to hit a swarm of wasps. General Cole watched the destruction from the Justice. He saw another alien cruiser break apart, its internal atmosphere venting into space. He knew the battle was far from over. The aliens still had the numbers, but he saw something else. He saw that the aliens were hesitating. Sir, Kevin Park said, pointing at the screen. Look at their formation. It's breaking down. They are moving away from us. They are trying to create distance. Cole smiled grimly. They are confused, Captain. They don't know how to deal with us. We are not following the rules they wrote. Suddenly, a massive explosion lit up the bridge's view screen. A human battleship, the Victory, had taken a direct hit from a heavy plasma cannon and split in half. It was a terrible sight. Everyone on the bridge of the Justice went quiet for a second. We are taking losses too, Cole said softly. But we are hurting them more. Keep the pressure up. Target their flagships. Let's make them regret coming here. The battle raged on. Lasers crossed with metal slugs. Fighters danced around massive dreadnoughts. The void between Jupiter and Mars was filled with fire and debris. But the tide was turning. The aliens had expected a quick surrender. Instead, they found a wall of rage. They had expected a weak prey. Instead, they found a predator that fought with claws. Made of steel and iron, the startlement of the Celestial Empire was turning into fear. The humans were not fighting for survival alone. They were fighting to win. And in deep space, amidst the burning wreckage, The legend of the Terran Armada was just beginning. High Overlord Xalatath was furious. The destruction of his ships in space had made him angry, but it had also made him careful. He realized that the human ships in the vacuum were dangerous because of their speed and their strange weapons. But he had another plan. He did not need to destroy the ships from the outside. If he could take the ground, he looked at the image of the gray moon that orbited the blue planet. It was called Luna. On its surface, there was a human base. It was a small place, but it was strategic. If he could take the moon, he could use it to aim weapons directly at Earth. The humans would have to surrender to save their homeworld. "Prepare the landing pods," Xalatath ordered. His voice was cold. "Send in the ground troops. The humans cannot fight us on the ground. We are stronger. We are taller. We have better armor. We will crush them under our boots." Thousands of drop pods launched from the bellies of the massive alien cruisers. They streaked toward the moon like falling stars. They were heavily armored and carried the elite soldiers of the Celestial Empire. Inside Moonbase Alpha, the alarms were screaming. The base was a series of metal tunnels and domes buried under the lunar dust. The air inside was thin and recycled. The gravity was low. Sergeant Mark Reynolds was checking his rifle. He was a big man with a scar on his cheek. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought in many conflicts, but he had never fought aliens before. "Listen up, people," Reynolds shouted to his squad. His squad was a mix of men and women. There was Private Eric Cho, a young soldier who looked nervous but held his gun tight. There was a heavy gunner named Sergeant Tom Wilson. There was a medic named Lisa Park. They were all wearing their heavy spacesuits. The suits were bulky and white, designed to keep them alive in the vacuum. "The aliens are landing in Sector 4, Reynolds said. "That is right outside the main airlock. They think they can just walk in here. They think they own this place. We need to show them they are wrong. We hold this line. No one gets past this door. Is that clear?" "Yes, Sergeant," the squad shouted back. Private Eric Cho took a deep breath. His helmet fogged up a little bit. "Sarge, how many are coming?" he asked. "Doesn't matter," Reynolds growled. "They can send 10 or 10,000. We are Terrans. We don't give up ground easily." Outside the base, the alien drop pods crashed into the gray dust. The doors blew open. The celestial soldiers marched out. They were terrifying to behold. They stood over 8 feet tall. They had hard purple skin, 4 arms, and faces like lizards. They wore shiny black armor that reflected the faint sunlight. They carried energy pikes and powerful plasma rifles. They did not run. They marched in perfect lines. They looked like a wall of death. They reached the heavy blast doors of Moonbase Alpha. Their leader, a captain named Krell, stepped forward. He pointed his weapon at the door. "Open this door, creatures," Krell spoke into his external speaker, "or we will melt it down." Inside the base, the humans waited behind reinforced barricades. They had welded the door shut, but they knew it wouldn't hold forever. "Here they come," whispered Lisa Park. She held her medical kit close. "Get ready," Reynolds ordered. "Grenades on my mark. Fire on full auto. Don't stop until they stop moving." The alien Captain Krell grew tired of waiting. He nodded to his heavy weapons unit. A large alien soldier stepped forward and fired a bright green blast of plasma at the door. The metal glowed red, then white, and then melted away. The hole was smoking with a roar. The aliens charged. They poured through the hole in the door. They expected to find humans hiding under tables, crying for help. They found a wall of bullets instead. "Fire!" screamed Mark Reynolds. The sound of gunfire was deafening inside the enclosed corridor. The human rifles made a loud crack, crack, crack sound. The bullets hit the alien armor. The alien shields flared, but the humans were using special armor-piercing rounds. The bullets punched through. The aliens at the front of the line fell, but they were tough. The aliens behind them stepped over the bodies and fired back. Green plasma bolts flew through the air. One bolt hit Sergeant Tom Wilson in the chest. His spacesuit caught fire, and he fell to the ground. "Medic?" Eric Cho shouted. Lisa Park crawled forward, dragging Wilson to cover. "I'm on it," she yelled. She sprayed foam on his burning suit to put out the flames. The battle in the corridor was chaos. It was close, dirty, and bloody. The aliens were stronger, but they were not used to fighting in zero gravity. The humans had magnetic boots that locked them to the floor. They could jump and change direction quickly. They used the tunnels like a maze. Private Eric Cho saw an alien raising a weapon to shoot Reynolds. Cho didn't think. He just reacted. He unhooked his magnetic boots, pushed off the wall, and flew through the air. He crashed into the alien. The alien was surprised. It had never seen a human fly at it like a missile. Cho landed on the alien. The alien tried to grab him with its 4 arms, but Cho held his combat knife. He stabbed the alien in the neck, where the armor was thin. Purple blood sprayed out, coating Cho's visor. "Got you!" Cho yelled, but then a massive alien, an elite guard, stepped into the corridor. He grabbed Cho by the leg and threw him against the wall. Cho slid down, dazed. The alien raised its giant boot to crush the human's head. "Eric!" Lisa screamed. Mark Reynolds was busy shooting 3 other aliens, but he saw Cho in danger. He made a choice. He knew he couldn't reach the boy in time. He looked at the elite alien. He saw the grenade on the alien's belt. "Cho, the grenade!" Reynolds shouted over the COMs. Eric Cho looked up. He saw the boot coming down. He saw the grenade. He knew he had one chance. The alien was going to kill him. Cho smiled inside his helmet. He wasn't going to die alone. "See you in hell," Cho whispered. He grabbed the grenade from the alien's belt and pulled the pin. He wrapped his arms around the alien's leg. "No!" The alien hissed, realizing what was happening. The explosion was huge. It shook the whole base. The elite alien was blown to pieces. Eric Cho was gone. The blast knocked the other aliens off their feet. The shockwave gave the humans the moment they needed. Reynolds and the rest of the squad surged forward, firing their weapons. They pushed the aliens back out of the airlock. "Fall back! Fall back!" The aliens shouted over their coms. "They are crazy! They'd blow themselves up?" The aliens retreated. They ran back to their drop pods, leaving their dead behind. They had never seen anything like it. They were used to enemies wanting to live. They were used to enemies running away when they were outnumbered. But these humans fought like demons. They did not care about their own lives. They killed themselves just to take one enemy with them. Inside the airlock it was quiet. The smoke cleared. Mark Reynolds stood over the spot where Eric Cho had been. There was nothing left but a scorch mark. His heart was heavy. He had lost soldiers before, but it never got easier. "Sarge?" Lisa Park asked softly. She was crying inside her helmet. We held the line." Reynolds nodded. He looked out the hole in the door. The alien drop pods were lifting off, flying back to space. They were leaving. "Yeah, Lisa," Reynolds said. "We held the line. Cho bought us that win." He tapped his comms unit to call the flagship. "Base Alpha to Justice. The aliens have retreated. We are still here. We are still standing." On the bridge of the Justice, General Cole heard the report. He looked at the tactical map. The alien ships were regrouping, but they were further away now. "They tried to take the moon," Captain Kevin Park said, looking at the data. "And they failed." General Cole puffed on his cigar. The smoke swirled around him. "They tried, and they got a bloody nose. They are learning, Captain. They are learning that we don't just defend the sky. We defend every inch of rock. We defend our homes." He looked at the thousands of enemy ships still looming in the distance. "But this is just the start. They are going to get angry now. They are going to stop playing nice." The reaction of the Celestial Empire was shifting. From the high command down to the ground soldiers, a new emotion was spreading. It was not arrogance anymore. It was fear. They had realized that humans were not just dangerous with ships. Humans were dangerous everywhere. On the ground, in the air, and in space, the human race was an enemy that refused to break. And that scared them more than any weapon ever could. The anger of the Celestial Empire was a cold and terrible thing. High Overlord Xalatath sat on his throne in the command center, his tail twitching with irritation. The report from the moon base had humiliated him. His elite soldiers, the strongest warriors in the galaxy, had been pushed back by a handful of soft-skinned humans. They had told stories of humans blowing themselves up just to kill a single soldier. It was madness. It was dishonorable. And it terrified his troops. Xalatath decided he was done with games. He was done with trying to capture resources. He was done with warnings. If these humans wanted to fight to the death, then he would grant their wish. He would burn them. "Prepare the world burner," Xalatath ordered. His voice was like ice. The crew on the bridge froze. The world burner was a super weapon. It was forbidden by the ancient laws of the galaxy because it was too destructive. It was a giant cannon that focused the energy of a star into a single beam. One shot was enough to melt the crust of a planet, turning a world into a ball of magma. "But Great One," his advisor Vex whispered, trembling. "If we use the world burner, there will be no slaves, no resources. There will only be dust. I do not care about dirt." Xalatath roared, slamming his fist into the armrest. "I care about the Empire. We cannot let a species of ants defeat us. If we destroy them, no one will know we lost a battle. They will only know that we destroyed a world that dared to defy us. Fire it up." The massive flagship of the Celestial Empire began to change. The front of the ship opened up like a flower. A long, glowing rod extended from the center. Blue light started to gather at the tip of the rod. It was a humongous amount of energy. The light grew brighter and brighter until it outshone the stars around it. On Earth, the news was not good. Admiral Sarah Miller sat in the command center deep underground. She looked at the large screen that showed the alien fleet. She could see the glow from the flagship. "The energy readings are off the charts," a scientist said, his voice shaking. "Admiral, that signature matches the descriptions of the world burner legends. They are going to glass the planet." Admiral Miller stood up. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had spent her whole life preparing for war, hoping it would never come. Now, the end was staring her in the face. She looked at the clock. They had maybe 15 minutes before the weapon fired. "We cannot stop that beam with shields," General Cole said over the video link from his ship. "Our ships will burn up like paper. We have to stop the ship before it fires." "But they are surrounded by thousands of other ships," Miller said. "How do we get through?" "We punch a hole," Cole said simply. "Sarah, I am going to take the fleet and ram it right down their throat. It is the only way." Miller knew he was right. It was a suicide mission. But humans were good at those. "Do it, Thomas. Give them hell." The UTDF fleet, what was left of it, moved into formation. The ships were battered. Some had holes in their hulls, some were on fire, but they moved with purpose. They formed a shape like a giant arrow or a spear. The tip of the spear was the flagship Justice. "All ships, listen to me," General Cole's voice boomed over the radio to every human ship. "This is it. No turning back. We do not fly for our lives today. We fly for everyone back home. We fly for the future. Don't stop. Don't dodge. Just keep going until we reach that big ship." Captain Kevin Park gripped the controls of the Justice. "We are ready, General. But the losses will be heavy. We pay the price so our children don't have to," Cole said. The human fleet accelerated. The engines roared, pushing the ships to their maximum speed. They flew straight toward the wall of alien ships protecting the world burner. The aliens opened fire. It was a storm of laser and plasma fire. Hundreds of beams filled the space between the fleets. Human ships exploded. On the left, a cruiser named Hope vanished in a ball of fire. On the right, a destroyer broke in half. The losses were terrible, but the formation did not break. The ships in the back filled the gaps left by the ships in the front. They kept flying. "Shields are failing," the tactical officer on the Justice yelled. We are taking hits to the hull. Ignore the damage, Cole shouted. Keep us steady. On the bridge of the alien flagship, Zalatath watched the humans come. They are insane, he muttered. They are committing suicide. Why? Fire the world burner now, Great One. Vex screamed. Destroy them before they get here. We need 20 more seconds to charge, Vex said. Outside, the human fleet was taking massive damage. The Justice was hit by a plasma torpedo that took out the engine stabilizers. The ship shook violently, throwing crew members to the floor. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Report? Cole coughed, waving smoke away from his face. We have lost 30% of the fleet, Captain Park said, blood running down his forehead from a cut. But we are through their line. We have a clear path to the flagship. Do it, Cole said. The Justice and the remaining human ships broke through the enemy wall. They were now in close range to the massive flagship. The world burner was glowing, ready to fire. Lieutenant Lee, Cole said into the comms. It is your turn. Lieutenant Jason Lee was in his fighter, the Raptor. He had followed the spearhead. Most of the other fighters had been destroyed, but he was still alive. His ship was scorched and one wing was damaged, but he could fly. Copy that, General, Jason said. He looked at the glowing cannon in front of him. He knew what he had to do. This is for Earth. He pushed his throttle to the maximum. His fighter screamed toward the world burner. The alien point defense guns tried to shoot him down, but he flew a crazy path, rolling and diving. Aim for the charging port. Admiral Miller's voice came through his headset. The energy port is open. Jason saw it. A bright blue opening where the energy was gathering. It was like the mouth of a dragon. He flew straight for it. Pull up, Jason. You're too close. His wingman screamed. No time, Jason said calmly. He pressed the button to release his payload. He dropped all his remaining bombs and then fired his last missiles. Then he ejected. His seat shot away from the plane just as the fighter crashed into the energy port. The impact was blinding. The bombs exploded inside the machine. The unstable energy of the world burner reacted with the explosion. A chain reaction started inside the alien flagship. The blue light turned to angry red. The ship began to shake from the inside out. Abandoned ship, Zalatath screamed, realizing what was happening. Abandoned she... He never finished the sentence. The entire flagship exploded. The blast was so big that it wiped out the ships closest to it. The shockwave pushed the remaining human ships away like toys in a bathtub. The most powerful weapon in the galaxy and the ship that held it was gone. On Earth, people looked up at the sky. The bright light faded away. The silence that followed was heavy. On the bridge of the Justice, the crew picked themselves up off the floor. They were alive. They looked out the window at the debris field where the enemy flagship used to be. Captain Kevin Park laughed. It was a tired horse laugh. General, we did it. We actually did it. General Thomas Cole stood up. He dusted off his uniform. He looked at the remains of the alien fleet. The ships were confused. They were leaderless. And now they were afraid. Yes, Captain, Cole said. We did it, but the war isn't over. Now we go collect what is owed? The great explosion in space had faded, but the silence that followed was louder than any noise. The debris from the massive alien flagship floated in the darkness like a graveyard of metal. The world burner was gone. High Overlord Zalatath was gone. The terror that had gripped the solar system began to loosen, but the danger was not over yet. Thousands of alien ships remained. They were still powerful, and they were still angry, but now, they were also afraid. On the bridge of the Justice, the crew was exhausted. Smoke still hung in the air, and sparks fell from damaged panels, but the mood was electric. Captain Kevin Park was wiping blood from his forehead. He looked at the main tactical screen. The red dots of the enemy fleet were no longer moving forward. They were drifting. Sir, Captain Park said, his voice rough. The enemy fleet is breaking formation. They are moving away from Earth. They are retreating. General Thomas Cole stood looking at the screen. His cigar had burned down to the nub, but he didn't notice. He watched the alien ships turn around. Retreating, he repeated. That is a word I like to hear? They are in total chaos, Ensign David Kim said from the communications station. I am picking up hundreds of signals on their command channels. They are shouting at each other. No one is giving orders? The chain of command is broken. Suddenly, a new signal came through. It was on a high-priority frequency, used only for emergency communication between leaders. David looked at the general. Sir, I am receiving a transmission from the alien flagship designated the Vengeance. It seems to be the ship of the second-in-command. It is hailing us. Put it on the screen, General Cole ordered. The main screen flickered and changed. An alien face appeared. He was smaller than Zolotath, with green scales and 3 eyes. He looked nervous. He was not standing in a proud position. He was leaning forward as if he were trying to hide behind his own console. Human vessel, the alien said. His translator voice was shaky. This is Commander Vex of the Celestial Empire. I wish to speak to your leader. General Cole stepped forward until he was right in front of the camera. I am General Thomas Cole, Commander of the United Terran Defense Force. I am listening. Vex swallowed hard. He looked at Cole, then at the destruction behind him. We have witnessed your power today. You have destroyed our flagship. You have killed the High Overlord. We did not know that your species possessed such ferocity. We have fought many races across the stars, but we have never seen anything like you. You do not fear death. You embrace it. Get to the point, Cole said sharply. Why are you calling? We are leaving, Vex said quickly. We are withdrawing our forces from this system immediately. We do not wish to fight any longer. The cost is too high. Is that so? Cole asked. He raised an eyebrow. You came here to enslave us. You threatened to destroy our world. And now you just want to leave? Vex looked terrified. Please. We have stopped firing. We are powering down our weapons. Just let us go. Do not destroy the rest of the fleet. Cole looked at Captain Park. He didn't say a word, but his eyes asked a question. Park shook his head slightly. They had won. They didn't need to slaughter a fleeing enemy. Cole turned back to the screen. Commander Vex, Cole said slowly. You will leave this system. You will go back to your empire. And you will tell them what happened here. What shall I tell them? Vex asked. Tell them that Earth is not a resource world, Cole said. Tell them that this is not a place to be conquered. Tell them that this is the home of mankind. Tell them that if they ever come back, we will not be so merciful. Vex nodded vigorously. I understand. I will tell them. Thank you, General. Thank you for your mercy. The screen went black. A few minutes later, the big ships of the Celestial Empire turned their engines toward deep space. They moved fast as if they were running from a ghost. They left behind their damaged ships. They left behind their debris. They just wanted to get away from the crazy humans who blew themselves up to win. The bridge of the Justice erupted in cheers. Sailors hugged each other. They laughed. Some cried. It was over. The invasion was over. General Cole walked over to the window. He watched the alien ships disappear into the dark distance. He felt tired, but he felt proud. Sir, Captain Park said, walking up beside him. We did it. We saved the world. No, Cole said, correcting him. We didn't just save the world, Kevin. We changed the galaxy. Down on the surface of Earth, people were pouring into the streets. In every city, from New York to Tokyo, people were looking up at the sky. They didn't know the details yet, but they knew the alien ships were leaving. They knew they had survived. Admiral Sarah Miller sat in her office at Earth Command. She took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes. She looked at a map of the galaxy on her wall. For centuries, humans had looked at the stars and wondered if they were alone. They had wondered if there were monsters out there. Now they knew. There were monsters. But the humans were the bigger monsters, she smiled. It was a fierce smile. The reaction of the Celestial Empire would send ripples through the whole galaxy. The other alien races, the ones who had been conquered or enslaved by the Empire, would hear about this. They would hear that the Empire ran away from a planet called Earth. They would hear that humans defeated the unbeatable. It would give them hope. It would start fires of rebellion on 1,000 worlds. The phone on her desk rang. It was a direct line to the President. "Madame Admiral," the President said. "Is it true? Are they gone?" "Yes, Mr. President," Miller said. "They are gone. We won." There was a long silence on the line. Then the President spoke. "What do we do now?"